That started with us from morning at 7 and till the time SMB comes to an end today. Thank you very much for joining into the conversations from the SMB reports, the SMB across borders, and down to all that matters regarding business. And from Plot 42 Nile Avenue here, this morning, it's a bright morning. It is. And we come to the end of the show today. Quite got into time. 8 minutes past 10, but clearly thank you very much for joining us. But now we're going to switch our eyes to the ongoing annual oil and gas convention, which is looking at maximizing national content and value retention. This is ongoing at the Kampala Serena Hotel, and you are definitely going to get all the details as it happens live here on Smart 24 TV, where we drive your business. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko signing out for today. And for more of the daily programmings, keep your eyes glued on Smart 24 TV. But to understand more of what is coming out of the convention, the oil and gas convention, we are heading there right now. Stick around. It's a goodbye from me and the SMB team.
The last time we spoke, it was all about FID. We couldn't stop talking about FID and when it was coming. Well, it finally came, ladies and gentlemen, and we thank many of our sponsors and the oil majors and everyone that made that possible. So $4 billion worth of contracts have been awarded this far. Hence the theme, maximizing national content and value retention. If you recall, when we used to deliberate about local participation in the oil and gas sector, we used to use a number, rule of thumb, saying that if we were able to retain 30% of what's been awarded locally, we would have done well. So if you do the quick math on the $4 billion that's been awarded, so $1.2 billion should technically been awarded to the locals. And that's why we're providing this platform to have this discussion, because it actually takes two to tango. It's not all about are the contractors not providing opportunities for the local contractors, but are the local contractors stepping up to the game as well? I know that, for example, contractors are struggling with the quality and consistency of supply in areas like agriculture, which I thought was a no-brainer. I mean, we are an agriculture country. But getting quality and consistency of supply remains a problem. One of the reasons why we decided not to charge for this conference this year, because we want to have a dialogue. We want to have information to flow. We want to close out that information asymmetry gap that exists between what's available and what the local contractors or Ugandans believe is available. That is the key theme of this conference. You will notice that we have a very carefully chosen agenda. Today we will do an update on contracts and the ones that have been awarded. Day 2, we will have a much more focus on the opportunities that are yet to be awarded and the procurements that are coming up, so that you walk out of this conference feeling enabled and informed so that you can make the right investments possible. At the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, we really started off as a lobbyist organization, and with the amazing leadership of Eli Karuhanga, we've been at this for a very long time. But we're making a shift in the Chamber right now, which is really to provide a platform to be a neutral, should I say, a platform where information can be shared. We've nurtured great relationships with all the guys in the oil and gas sector, the contractors, the stakeholders from the government, the PAUs, everybody. And we just want to be the place where all this information is gathered. And we're going to be a neutral facilitator to allow that information to flow. And that's really the one goal that we're trying to achieve. So I'm wishing you all, 2 great days of deliberation. I'd like to thank everyone that made this day possible, all the way going down to the Secretariat at the Chamber, our sponsors, the government, our partners, the Honorable Minister who is here today. We really honor and thank you for making time. And we're going to be hearing from Honorable Minister in a bit. But thank you for your support and your team. We'd also like to thank Ernest, Mr. Rubondo and his team, PAU, UNOC. I could go on, but we've gotten a lot of support. But a special thanks to you, Ernest, for allowing this session tomorrow to actually be another session that you require of the contractors to share information and allowing us to be your host for that. We really appreciate your flexibility on that. And then in summary, I also just want to recognize the people that have made this possible, that have been steadfast in this oil and gas journey. We talk about Dr. Eli Karuhanga, Robert Kasande, there's Ernest Rubondo, who's been here for a while. I could go on and on, Kashambuzi. There are a lot of beacons. Sir Rich, who's also been at this for a very long time. Thank you for your consistent support and being a beacon and allowing Ugandans to believe. I remember the first couple of conferences we had, the mix in the crowd was 80% foreign, 20% Ugandan. But look around now, it's probably 90% Ugandan. We've come a long way, folks, but because we've been consistent and we've been steadfast, now is the time to actually start putting rubber to the metal. So thanks also to the guys who made this possible, Heritage, Talo, Sinok, Total, people who've been in this journey through the development phase. It was never easy to get as far as we did. And also special thanks to the President being steadfast and allowing some of these negotiations. So with those few remarks, I would like to wish all of us a very, very fun couple of days. We've really got a good sessions set up. And I would like at this point to invite the people who are going to be in my first session to come and join me up here. And then I'm going to invite the Honorable Minister to give us her remarks. With Mr. Philippe Grouet from Total, Shen Zhubao from Sinok. If I'll also ask Proskovia Nabanja from UNOC. Oh, sorry, it's going to be Mr. Mugerwa. Martin Tiffen from ECOP. Mr. Ernest Rubondo from PAU. If you just join me up here, then we'll listen to the Honorable Minister, and then we will start our deliberations. Thank you all for coming. Thanks. At this point, let me give a little brief about Honorable Nakabirwa, who is the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development in the Ugandan Cabinet. Prior to that, she served as the Chief Government Whip, a cabinet-level position. And prior to that, Honorable Nakabirwa served as the State Minister for Fisheries in the Cabinet as well. Honorable Nakabirwa has also served as the State Minister for Microfinance between 2009 and 2011. And she also concurrently serves as the elected Member of Parliament, representing the Chiboga District's Women constituency. Please join me in welcoming Honorable Ruth Nakabirwa to the stage to give us her remarks. Thank you.
I listened to the safety moments this morning, and the presenter told us to keep SOPs, including wearing masks, but he was not wearing a mask. And most of the people who have stood here to speak to you, from Tony, from Pamela, we are not wearing masks. And I think it is the order of the day. So I would like to remove my mask so that I don't look awkward at the podium. The Chairperson, Private Sector Foundation, the Council Chairman, Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, the Chairperson, Uganda, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, the Chairperson, Board of Petroleum Authority of Uganda, Executive Director, Petroleum Authority of Uganda, the government officials from various institutions, the General Manager, Total Energies Uganda, the President of SINOC, Uganda, the Chief Executive Officer, Uganda National Oil Company, the General Manager of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company, members of the private sector, the organizers of the 8th Annual Oil and Gas Convention 2022, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. First of all, I would like to apologize for coming in late. I had 2 competing functions which I had to perform at exactly 9. And I promised to be in both places at the same time. I tried. My body was at the conference center while my spirit was with you. So I have joined my spirit at 10. So forgive me. But I'm happy to be here physically. When I had just been appointed, I landed on a similar convention. And I did not have the confidence to stand and address you. I was omgole. But I was encouraged by my colleague, my friend, long-term friend, Honorable Erika Ruhanga, who said that you just show your face at least. And I did exactly that. And that was a very difficult time. It was at COVID time, and everybody was masked. So I am happy that I've been able to stand before you at this 8th Oil and Gas Convention physically, and I have removed my mask. I am seeing many of you in the audience without masks, while some are still wearing masks. I am praying for the day when all of us will be unmasked so that we are able to talk face to face, appreciating one another's body language. So thank you so much for keeping in there. Thank you, everybody who have made a contribution toward the success of the Oil and Gas Convention in Uganda. I've come here today because I strongly support what you are doing. And I want to beg for your pardon if you see me going out, because I equally have another meeting and it is at State House. So I have to rush to Entebbe. It is my great honor, therefore, to be part of this 8th Annual Oil and Gas Convention 2020 under a very strategic theme: maximizing national content and value retention. I thank the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum for the resilience that has enabled it to keep its membership together despite the shocks that the industry has experienced, and continued hosting the annual Oil and Gas Convention. The 8th edition comes at a time when the country is more confident than before, and equally the minister is more confident than before. And my entire team, the new permanent secretary in the ministry, we are all focused. And the national content is a very important aspect of the oil and gas sector, and it is one of the avenues through which a country can benefit in terms of employment of Ugandan citizens and provision of goods and services by Ugandan companies. The observation made before about what the audience comprises of this time round is very critical. That we have more Ugandan companies in the audience than before. That's a very good observation. If all these are fully maximized, the national content will have the potential to add value to Ugandan economy and therefore spur development in various sectors such as tourism, agriculture, education, health, transport, among others. If and only if we are ready and we are prepared. I always receive a number of people in my office asking for jobs. After FID, people are flocking my office. Those who are having houses, they think I'll pick a call and talk to Total, talk to Sinok. I have these houses, please take them. Those who want to supply, they come to the minister. So a lot has to be done in as far as dissemination of information is concerned so that the Ugandan companies know where to go. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we will end up missing out because we will be time-barred. Other people will be quick to partake of the opportunity. On the overview of the oil and gas sector in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen, like you already know, the country has an estimated resource base of 6.5 billion barrels, out of which 1.4 billion barrels is recoverable. We have to keep this information at the back of our minds as we move the journey of the development of our petroleum, oil and gas. The Ministry of Energy is currently undertaking exploration work in the Moroto-Kadam Basin, this is in Karamoja region, to ascertain the petroleum potential in that area. This will in turn increase Uganda's resource base from the current 6.5 billion I've talked about, which is in place. The second licensing round, you allow me to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, that in 2019, the country embarked on the second competitive licensing round, which has significantly progressed, and government is currently negotiating production sharing agreements with 2 companies, including Uganda National Oil Company, with the aim of signing by June 2022. Congratulations, Uganda National Oil Company. The development phase, which will be launched by the announcement of, which was launched by the announcement of the final investment decision in February, 1st February 2022 at Kololo, Kampala, has ushered in an investment of approximately 15 billion US dollars. And this is in the next 3 to 5 years. These investments present opportunities for the participation of Ugandans and Ugandan enterprises in the country's oil and gas sector. As government, it is our interest for Ugandans to retain at least 40% of this significant investment. I have had the opportunity to peruse through the program for this convention, and I know that a number of presentations will expound on the planned investments in the oil and gas anchor projects. And these are the Tilenga and Kingfisher development areas in the upstream, the East African crude oil pipeline, the refinery, including the Hoima and PG product pipeline, and construction of other supporting infrastructure. On the FID, ladies and gentlemen, the government of Uganda, with its partners, Total Energies, EP Uganda, Sinok Uganda Limited, the Uganda National Oil Company, TPDC, the Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation, this was announced, like I have talked before. And at this juncture, I would like to congratulate the team. Congratulations, because many things have been unlocked. This announcement signified the commencement of the oil companies to make and invest in order to develop Uganda's oil and gas resources. The announcement of this FID signifies the country's conducive investment climate and recognition of readiness of stimulants to invest, to the investment which government has deliberately put in place and commits to continue pursuing. As a minister, I know that I'm in charge of policy direction, policy oversight. I just want to reiterate my commitment that all the relevant policies, regulations will be made, and they will be made on time. So far, so good. So value retention is where Uganda retains as much value of its economy. And in our case, from the oil and gas sector through creation of employment opportunities for its citizens and utilization of locally produced goods and services. There must be a deliberate policy on this, on local content, but also on making sure that Ugandan companies are helped to be ready to take on the opportunities. We are concluding on the policy to establish the local content fund. And I hope that I'll have all the support I need from the Ministry of Finance to make sure that this is established. The government of Uganda had taken deliberate steps to ensure value retention. And this has been through putting in place supportive policies and laws aimed at maximizing participation of Ugandans in the sector. The first effort at value retention was the National Oil and Gas Policy, which was done in 2008, which clearly sets out the policy goal for national participation, which principles were enacted in upstream and midstream laws of 2013 and attendant regulations of 2016. And a number of studies, including the Industrial Baseline Survey, have also played a key role in forming national participation. The above efforts were critical during the exploration phase, where Ugandans were able to retain 28% of the approximately US dollars 3.5 billion that was invested. It's against that background that the Uganda government in 2018 put in place the local content policy for the oil and gas industry, whose goal is to increase the participation of Ugandan citizens and enterprises in the oil and gas industry. And this was from the current 28% to 80% local content, at least by 2040. The policy has 5 objectives that speak to maximizing value retention, and these are: 1, to build the capacity of Uganda's human resource in the oil and gas industry, and 2, to promote employment of Ugandan citizens and enterprises in the oil and gas industry, and 3, to develop the competitiveness of Ugandan enterprises as suppliers and JV partners, and 4, to increase the use of locally produced and available goods and services by the oil and gas industry. And 5, to promote in-country research and development and technology transfer to Ugandans. These objectives are the pillars upon which government is banking on to ensure that we maximize value retention in the country. Let me also inform you, colleagues, that several efforts have been undertaken to ensure local participation, which includes skill development. Government established Uganda Petroleum Institute, Chigumba, to train artisans, and to date, over 130 students have graduated with petroleum studies. And Chigumba is one of the institutes that has been really staffed, all the equipments. And if you went there, you would see that the output from that institute will be well-trained candidates. We also introduced petroleum geosciences programs at both bachelor's and master's level at Makerere University to train Ugandans at graduate level. We have also engaged over 120 local vocational training institutions on the skills requirements for the oil and gas industry, and over 4,500 Ugandans have been skilled and certified to international standards that meet the oil and gas requirements. Government also established a national oil and gas talent register, which is an online database where all Ugandans that possess oil and gas related skills can register in order to give them visibility to potential recruiters. Standards have been developed to enable Uganda participate in the oil and gas industry and also train over 1,490 local suppliers in the oil and gas industry in bid management, procurement, HSC standards, and practices as a way of getting them ready to participate in the sector such that we can maximize value retention in our country. National supplier database, where all companies intending to participate in the oil and gas sector must be registered, is also in place. This database is managed by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, because the oil and gas industry are capital intensive in nature, one of the biggest challenges faced by the local players in the sector is access to affordable financing. In order to address this challenge, the ministry is working with the Ministry of Finance to establish the Local Content Development Fund, which will support local content development in the oil and gas sector. Part of the preparedness is financial preparedness. The trainings alone cannot be enough without the financial muscle. The fund will be used for both skills and enterprise development, and we hope to finalize this process as soon as possible, since this fund will indeed be a good boost to the participation of local players within the sector and hence create value retention. Ladies and gentlemen, this convention, which brings together government and industry and business enterprises, is timely and helps shine a light on the opportunities in the sector that Ugandans should harness. I want to commend Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum once again for their efforts and encourage you to continue with such engagements. I want to thank the organizers of this 8th Annual Oil and Gas Convention 2020 for a job well done. Thank you so much for this standard, which we meet when we go out there and we are at the panel. There is no difference from what we face when we travel and participate in conventions relating to oil and gas. I am so pleased and congratulate everyone who has put in an effort. I also want to thank our partners, the international oil companies, Total Energies, CNOOC, Uganda Limited, our own Uganda National Oil Company, for the ongoing development works that have created opportunities for Ugandans, challenges notwithstanding. We will go over them. Let me also appreciate the East African Crude Oil Pipeline project for the national content plans that provide Ugandans with unprecedented business and employment opportunities, including across borders. And in a special way, allow me to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa, for his visionary leadership that has enabled the current progress we see in the oil and gas sector. And in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I reiterate government's commitment towards maximizing value retention in the country through the implementation of the local content policy for the oil and gas sector as a way of contributing to early achievement of poverty eradication or reduction and creating lasting value to society. I believe this convention will act as an additional catalyst to awaken Ugandans to maximize local participation in this sector. With these remarks, it is my singular honor to declare the 8th Annual Oil and Gas Convention 2020 open and wish all the participants fruitful engagements for God and my country. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Dr. Ruth Nankabira. Now that we're fully open, or the conference has been opened, I would like us to proceed with our program. Quickly, we're now trying to buy time that we have lost along the way. And I would like to invite Mr. Philippe, the General Manager, Total Energies, to come and make his welcome remarks for the Lake Albert Development Project operators. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Energy, Executive Director of PIU, Council Chairman, Uganda Chamber of Mine and Petroleum, Chairman of Private Sector Foundation, Dr. Eli Kawanga, dear panelists, representative of government and companies present in this room, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's for me a great pleasure to be part of this 8th convention, Oil and Gas Convention. First, because we can hold it in presential all together, and second, because this one is a special one versus all the precedent convention that being held before. Why? Because of the FID of this project. Because now we have entered into execution phase. Last time, most of us we met was in Kololo ceremonial ground for this celebration of and decision of going for this massive development. This project is one of the, we need to realize that this project is one of the most exciting projects happening in the African continent in oil and gas. So we are blessed to be part of it, but we have also a responsibility to deliver it. And the theme that has been selected for this year's convention about national content and in-country value is a key, of course, is a key and is at the heart of the success of such a project. This project is done is decided by Ugandan government will be executed by Ugandan and for Uganda. And so that's our joint responsibility to make sure we achieve. We know that the expectations are very high, very, very high. And this is the emergence of a new sector in a country where everybody wants to participate. And our responsibility is to make sure, first, we explain what we are doing, we give equal opportunities to all the players, but also to measure what we are doing. Because we need to be able to measure what is a performance on the national content and in-country value. And that's why we are going to work with PIU and with UNOC and CNOOC. But we need to provide figures, we need to give feedback, because we owe this feedback to the country. So I would just try to remind you, of course, the national content and in-country value is the umbrella. And below, we have three major commitments to deliver. The first one is technical excellence. We need to build this very complex infrastructure and to make sure the oil will flow in 2025. Second, we have a social commitment towards the community living in the area of our operation. And we need to make sure this project is supported, because it's also for them, it's on their land, and we need to make sure they are with us on board. And the third commitment is about biodiversity, because we will work in a very sensitive environment. And our commitment is to make sure that this new emerging sector will not develop to the detriment of other sectors like tourism, but all the benefit will sum up, which means that we have also some commitment regarding the protection of the Murchison Falls National Park and the development of the tourism and the net positive gain on the whole area regarding biodiversity. Just a few words of what has happened since we have taken FID. And I will start first with a major event. Of course, we have signed a number of contracts, we move forward, and you can go either, I think, in Kingfisher or in Tilenga, you will see a lot of things happening on the ground. But what I would like to comment here is a major event which happened is, unfortunately, the Ukraine-Russia war that nobody could have expected to that extent. And even if we are not affected directly, I would say you can see that all the raw material price is now, skyrocketing, and so it's bringing a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, a lot of also angriness towards the oil and gas sector to see such high price everywhere in the world, and of course a direct impact on the raw material price that we can see currently. So I think it's up to us to see how we can mitigate this difficult situation. We need to be creative, innovative altogether, but it's quite important because I will repeat what I said in front of a different audience. Our commitment is to develop this project on time, but also on budget, and we should not forget about the second element. Budget is essential if we want to ensure profitability for Uganda and for all the investors on this project. We need to be able to deliver it on budget. The last point I would like to mention with all of you is we need, I hope, all of you in this room, whether you have already a contract or whether you want to develop more your activity in oil and gas, tomorrow, next month, next year, I I just want to be sure you all support this development of oil and gas in Uganda, because we need people being vocal and supportive of what we are doing here. It's very important. You can see all over the world a number of people. I mean, the people being vocal is the people against oil and gas, against the project. We need to have more people vocal and supportive, saying that it is what we want to do and we are proud and we want this to happen. And so I encourage you to be more vocal about that, to stand in front of the media, locally, regionally, internationally, and to support, because we will be proud of what we are doing. We will execute in an exemplary manner, but we need to make it known. Don't leave the space only to people who are just negative and criticizing what is being done. So that's my appeal to all of you. And I will stop there. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have a very interesting discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip, the General Manager, Total Energies E&P. Next is a name that, if I even introduce the person without saying it, you will all know who I'm speaking about. He is a man who has seen UCMP from a concept to what it is today. The next speaker is Honorable Dr. Eli Karuhanga. Honorable Eli Karuhanga. Chairman, a true statesman. Uncle Eli, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. The Honorable Minister who has left and the PS, all protocol observed, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start my speech with an awkward word, finally. Let me start my speech with the word finally. Finally, we have a convention after the signing of FID, Final Investment Decision. What we waited for since 2006, when we discovered oil, when I was privileged to be president of Hardman Petroleum Resources, which discovered the oil. When later on in 2007, Taro discovered more oil in Uganda. I was privileged to be president of Taro and director. And we promised first oil in 2009, 2010. Finally, We are attending an oil and gas convention in the conference center at Serena Hotel after the final investment decision. Let's clap and thank God for that. We are really, for me, I am enjoying the harvest season having participated in the sowing of the seed. Not so, Jimmy. And normally, many people who plant never have the opportunity to harvest. But here we are. So I say finally, thank you. In fact, I'm a born-again Christian. And for us in the Revival East African movement, we have a song we sing at a moment like this where we praise God. And we call it Tukutendereza. And this is the time for Tukutendereza, honestly. And you find this word, it's a Uganda song, but it is sung in Kenya, in Tanzania, in the entire East Africa. This is Tukutendereza for the Oil and Gas Convention. I thank God for that. You know, I like to say all the time that there is a new dawn which is arrived on our door of awakening, opportunity, and this new dawn, we must know that it has a historical background. It is ushering in a new economic revolution. It's kicking the doors open which had been locked for the opportunity. And we are seeing a red carpet in front of us and a beautiful carpet and tapestry of economic opportunity. This new dawn is coming behind three major seismic milestones that I have identified. Arguably, for me, the events of the 26th of January 1986, when NRM took power and Uganda rediscovered its destiny, was a major seismic milestone in our life. The second economic seismic milestone is the signing on 1st of February, the taking of the final investment decision in our country to exploit our natural resources that have been there for more than 5,000 million years underground. And for the first time, we have handed over this from the government to private sector. So as chairman of Private Sector Foundation, I stand here to receive from the government, on behalf of the entire private sector, the capacity for Total, a private sector company, for CNOC, for UNOC, for all of us subcontractors and contractors to take charge of oil and gas for the next 30 years of the resources discovered so far. This is a milestone. We are no longer going to Amber House. We are now going to Bulisa, Tereng, Kingfisher. We are going, as you heard the minister say, we are going to Karamoja to look for more oil. We are going to do more exploration. And we are in charge. Private sector is in charge. This is the second milestone after the 1986 event. The third, for me, is the ascension of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the East African community to East Africa. To me, this is another large milestone connecting the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, and all that land mass is East Africa. With more than 200 million people, with the resources of over 70% of resources of the world underground in the minerals. We occupying at the plateau of Africa, on top of Africa, the Great Lake Victoria, owning it and sharing it with East Africans, producing the longest rivers of the world, the River Congo and the River Nile, with mountains and forests and resources. All this belongs to us, East Africans. To me, this is the third seismic big milestone that has taken place in our time and in our generation. This is Tukutendereza for me. This is something we must thank God. So, frankly, when I say I see a red carpet of opportunity in front of us, then I think we are right. The question is, Ugandans are always asking me, what is in it for me, this oil story, is not to ask what is in it for you. It is for you, Ugandan, to ask, what are you going to do to make sure that you take advantage of this opportunity? Wake up, get up, think, put on your thinking cap, and see what you can do in an opportunity that is in front of us. Stop wallowing around. Get up and think about what you can do. If you are in agriculture, the opportunities are tremendous. If you are in hospitality, if you are in whatever field, services. We have called you here, like we have called you in the past since 2010, so that we can look at each other eyeball to eyeball and see each other and think together and share and listen to professionals sitting behind me here. And today and tomorrow, you are going to be treated to people who understand this industry and who are going to explain it to Ugandans and to foreigners that there is a lot of work to be done. We are making a clarion call this morning to you to come in masses and partake of this opportunity. The general manager of Total has told you, stop listening to people who talk negative stories. Let's now come out and talk positively about what this opportunity is all about for us. Let's not leave it to Total and to Sinok to explain from morning to evening that this is a good thing for Uganda. Let's also participate, let's explain it. When people go to Scotland and condemn the exploitation of oil and gas resources, let's not accept. These are people who are satisfied, who are happy, wherever they are. They want us to continue buying oil and gas and kerosene from Kuwait to take to our aunties at home. No, let's use our own resources that we have. Let's get on with our refinery, the pipeline and exploration. So for me, I want to thank, frankly, the organizers who have made it possible for us to be here today, this morning. When you look behind me and you see the setup, this is world class. This is world class, as the minister said. This is really world class. The conference is world class. It's mixed. The entire planet is here. The yellow, the white, the black. If there are any greens, we are all here. And we are thinking together. Let me thank the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, the past leadership and the present leadership, for being consistent. Let's give them a clap, please. Thank you, Mr. Mwehere, for taking charge after we gave you the flag to run. Let me thank the government, starting from the president to the last person in government, who has helped to get this organization and this oil industry up and working. There are names you cannot fail to mention. The names of Mzee Kabagambe Kalisa, the name of my brother Robert Kasandi, my brother and friend, where are you? Oh, you're behind me. Oh, thank you so much. Ernest Rubondo. And all the people behind me on the panel. People like Kashambuzi, unsung heroes who faced that difficult area without roads and were able to discover oil. Let's put our hands together for them. And thank His Excellency the President for his leadership. Let me thank the private sector, the oil companies, Total and Sinok, those who are now currently running the industry, but those also who were behind the beginning of the companies, Dominion, Neptune, Hardman, Tallow, what was the other one? Jimmy, what was the other one? Heritage, and others. They did a lot of work. Some of them, we have seen their graves, but those people did a lot of work. I think we need to put our hands together and thank them for their faith. When the final investment decision was taken, many Ugandans didn't quite understand what it was. Finally, we have taken a decision to invest in Uganda. These were the boards of directors of Total and of Sinop and government. The boards of directors could not decide that without management of those companies. The management of those companies could not decide that without the backing of the financial institutions. The financial institutions could not decide that without making sure that they follow World Bank regulations about environment. All these many power centers all congregated to allow us to play this role. Let's put our hands together for everybody who got involved in giving Uganda their thumbs up. Now, our theme is the legitimate participation of local content. All this can become nothing if Ugandans don't participate. We saw what happened, let me be very undiplomatic, what happened in Nigeria when there was no local content. Money and oil were all moving at the same time in the pipeline and being exported to oil tankers. So the oil and the money were all being shipped out of Nigeria. What was the result of that? There was no social license by Nigerians to allow the oil companies to operate. And as a result, what did we see? We saw pirates. What did we see? We saw vandalism. What did we see? We saw the blowing up of pipelines, siphoning oil. What did we see? We saw political instability in the Delta. What else did we see? We saw instability, political instability in Nigeria. All of it, and we saw the thing called oil curse. All because Nigeria took time to organize local content. Now when they did, what are we seeing? We are seeing Nigerian companies, Nigeria becoming the largest economic bloc in Africa. We are seeing them overtake South Africa. We are seeing Nigerian companies come here. We are seeing Oranto Petroleum, a local content company in Nigeria, take blocks of Ngasa next to Total in Albert and Grabin. We are seeing Emplex, is it Emplex? A Nigerian company, come here. We are seeing Baywood Group of Nigeria, register in Uganda, headed by a man called Emperor Chris, the emperor of money. Chris coming to Uganda. We are seeing stability in Nigeria, and we must clap for them, and we should welcome such companies and African countries who have made it to come here and show us how to manage local content. You should see the local content offices in Abuja. Towers, three huge towers of local content. Offices, local content fund in Abuja. You should see those towers. They look like the towers that you see in Malaysia. So, UNOC is our first local content goalkeeper. Finance UNOC, please, government. Make it strong. Make it our first local content company to participate. And I'm pleased to hear the minister saying that by June, they would have a block of their own. Please, UNOC, invite Ugandan companies to participate in the exploration and ownership of our own resources together with you. Don't do it alone. Let private sector join you. So by the grace of God, I am seeing local content being discussed, and this is the theme. We are going to get better speakers about local content than myself. We are beginning to see banks. When I saw the sponsors of this conference, the main sponsors, Stanbic, Equity Bank, who are the others? Yes, you can read them. The banks are coming. Because the challenge of local content is financing. How when you, Total, you give a Ugandan company a contract of $80 million, where are we going to find this money? We are not, for us, we are used to 80 million shillings. Now you give us $80 million. The banks must be ready to help us to be part of this story. So here the time has come for us to really, really appreciate and know that if we don't participate and own, we will manage. This year alone, 2022, COVID notwithstanding, 6 Nigerian companies have become billionaire companies. They've made more than $1 billion, local content companies. And I don't see by 2025, with $15 billion invested in Uganda, I can see that we shall have Ugandan companies who are millionaire companies, who didn't even dream it, and who are just starters, greenfield companies, who will be millionaires. So let's do it. But are we ready? Are we ready? Ugandans, are we ready? But by your coming today, it looks you are ready. When I see you 80%, as Mohere said, Patrick Mohere said, 80% in the audience are Ugandans. It looks we are getting there. A number of Ugandans have already won contracts. And I'm sure Mr. Robondo will tell us these names. But companies like Come Out Better are there, Motor Angel, MSL, GCC Services, Tech Lab, even Excel. These companies are Ugandan companies. And as you have heard, more than 40 contracts have been signed to Ugandan companies participating. I think we are going to be somehow a little bit of leaders and a hub of oil and gas in this region. I keep on asking and telling you that we must make sure that Ugandans are participating in this conference. We have a supportive government, we have a supportive petroleum authority, we have a supportive UNOC, we have a supportive group of investors who have come here in names of Total and Sinok, and I don't see how we can fail to raise this. The warning I want to give is, I want to share a story with you. And I want to read this story for you. I don't want us to have a Helmut example, Helmut province example in Afghanistan. Let me read this story for you and share it with you. I have done it before in one meeting with a few people. But this is what happened. If you come here and do this work and use foreign companies and ignore Ugandans, this is what is going to happen. Allow me to read it, and I'll be very brief, short. So let me tell you a sad story described by a lady called Christina Lamb, who is a journalist even now in the Times of London. And she wrote a book, Farewell Kabul. Farewell Kabul. The story of Helmut province. This is how the British government established a camp, like say in Bulisa, on a camel path. And when they left a camel path as they had found there. You know a camel path?